tea is like Kyrie's.
What tea?
The Mallow sweet tea and lemonade.
Ask you can answer.
Okay, I just put a little bit of aloe in it because I need to speed this
Put
cleansing.
aloe in the whole tea thing?
Yeah.
Where did you get aloe
No,
from?
in the cup. On the door in the refrigerator. You had a big bottle of aloe in there.
Hey y'all, tag your friends, come in. This is the one and only time I'm gonna do this. Everybody has been asking me to explain this whole search warrant situation or whatever. So, here we go. I need to get at least 20 people in here before I start going over all these papers with y'all. So tag y'all friends, bring them in, and then I'll tell y'all what's going on, and I'll tell y'all like how they get away with incarcerating us black folks and poor white people and whoever else is, you know, below the poverty line. Oh, shoot. Hey everybody, bring your friends in. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. I'm about to go over this stuff with y'all, and I'm going to tell y'all exactly what they do, and I'm going to tell y'all how this whole investigation came about, because it's not what they're trying to make it, like, you know, out to be. This is something that I've been doing for the last 4 years. I've probably sent out over 200 letters and documents or whatnot. So, numbers going down, okay. I don't even know how to tag people, because okay, let me just start like this. Okay, and then I'm going to explain how they do it. These are fraudulent documents. All of these documents that I have right here are all fraudulent documents that were placed into a discovery. I actually have a couple of people's stuff in here because people reach out to me and just be, you know, asking me to help them look over their stuff because I've already went through this stuff before. So I just kind of tell them the things to look for, you know, based on the way that search warrants and things or any type of document is filed within the court system in Kentucky. Okay, anybody got a question? Lord. Okay, well, I'm just going to start explaining. So, this document right here is what LMPD use as a, basically as a, the foundation of them illegally searching your home. So, this whole entire document is illegal because everything should be on this one document right here, which is the actual search warrant. So, this paper right here, all this is saying is that once we find something to hang you for, or something to charge you with, then we'll come back and produce a search warrant. So that's all this is saying. It's saying that pursuant to KRS 61.87618, the search warrant and supporting affidavit authorizing the search for this, and it says it shall be sealed at such time law enforcement actions are completed. So if this was a sealed search warrant, this document right here would have, you know, everything from the court on it, have the stamps and everything, and, you know, your case number, blah, 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 and it'll have, like, sealed across the front of it, because according to the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, Rule 41 for, Rule 211, is for sealed search warrants. It tells you how they go about filing the search warrants. And you can also look online and download the Supreme Court's court clerk manual. And you can actually read it. And they go over how these things are supposed to be filed, step by step. So there's a particular way that the Supreme Court ordered for these clerks to file these documents. So all this BS that they're saying, like they don't know what's going on, or they're trying to see if, you know, there's a pattern of, yes, there's a pattern. There's always been a pattern. This stuff has always been going on. And, you know, as far as back in the early 2000s when those first 2 cops went to prison for doing the same stuff. So what they do is they give you this document and they tell you that your search warrant is sealed. So here's where it comes in the what's it called, the no-knock search warrants. Okay, so the no-knock thing is all upon. That's all fake. So all this marching and hooting and hollering that everybody was downtown doing about these no-knock search warrants, they don't exist. Because they tell you that they're no-knock. And then, like, if you're like me and you're asking for your search warrants and things like that, they'll tell you, oh, well, we can't give it to you because it's sealed. But if you look on here, okay, hold on. First of all, this is the first exhibit. I'm so unorganized right now, y'all. Hold on. Okay. So, I'm going to show y'all. So, that's the first page. I'm going to have multiple copies of all of these because every time LMPD have to file something new into discovery, they have to recreate all of these documents because they never had them. So, okay, for example, maybe I just need to get this stuff together and then log back on. But, that's 1 and 2. This is Exhibit A and Exhibit B. I'm not sure if y'all can see this, but these signatures are totally different. But this is supposed to be the same search warrant. Search warrants are filed electronically, first of all, so none of this stuff should be different at all. But like I said, that whole entire document is it's obsolete. It has nothing to do with a search warrant. This is something that they just created on their own. So people would think that, you know, what they're doing to them is legit. Okay, so here goes I'm gonna try to cover. Okay, so this right here is the actual search warrant. What's supposed to be the actual search warrant. In case you look at it, you can see that there's nothing on it indicating that it was ever filed in a court, because it will be stamped by the court clerk, signed and dated by them, and it'll say it was filed in the court in the court on such and such date. So if you look right here, this is one that was later filed, like probably a whole year later. So this one was filed a whole year after my house was searched illegally, and it's redacted. So what redacted is when they remove certain, you know, information. But what they forgot is that on the original one, I can't show y'all that too. On the original one, all of this information is included. So they're forgetting. I'm not even gonna say they forgetting. They just don't care, because they just do what they want to do. But this one right here, this is obvious. So you see how it says C attached, and it has an initial, then the number, and right here it says C attached, and there's nothing. You see how this is a line going through February? And how do you mistake February for April anyway? So they basically, I'm going to go over how they photocopy these anyway, but you see there's a line through there, and then you look at this one that was filed a year later, and it's scribbled out instead of a line that's scribbled. And of course the signatures are different. You can see the G's. Okay, so you see the signatures right there. So this is probably one or two. I have, like I said, I have 4 different copies of these search warrants, so they're fake. But this is a letter from the court clerk, David Nicholson's office. So basically, because they didn't have a search warrant, the court couldn't they had no access to a search warrant, which is absolutely impossible because search warrants are filed through the court. And literally the clerks downstairs, like if you go in, they look up anything and they can give you any type of document that you ask for, because that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do according to the Kentucky Open Records Act. They're supposed to provide you with these documents. So this one, this is me telling them that attached search warrant that the circuit court clerk was referencing was the fabricated document that were entered into discovery 3 months after Mr. Hawk's arrest on 4/27/17, because the court has no record of a search warrant for the original case, which is 17 F 5067. So I'm talking really fast right now because I really got to get to the meat of like how this stuff is done, but I'm just showing you like little examples. So this is from the David Nicholson. You see the official stamps or whatever. So this is from his office, and he's saying that there was never, ever, this is incomplete because there was never a return warrant. So search warrants aren't legal if they're not returned within 14 days. I think it's like 10 to 14 days they have to return them back. So once they get filed, they go serve them, and then they have a certain amount of days to bring them back. But once the search warrant has been carried out, it has to be available to the public the next day, no matter if it's sealed or not. It's got to come unsealed that next day, unless they take you to court or they go to court and they ask for a extension for the sealing. So you have to go through the court to get extensions on seals and all that stuff too. So they can't just say, "Oh, it's sealed," you know. So that's BS too. So this is the David Nicholson's office saying that attached, above date, review of the complete true file. So the true file is the discovery, like I said, and it did not produce a list of seized item, which is the return search warrant. So that's why you always ask them for the return warrant. You want the search warrant and you want the return. You want to know when it was returned back to the court. So this is that. Okay. And so this is a letter that I had wrote about 4 years ago, and I sent this to the Louisville FBI because I basically motioned the court to go speak to the judge, because how I found out that the search warrants were fake is because I actually called the judge's office and I asked her. So all this, we have to match up signatures and do this, that, and the third or whatever. Well, I'm one of the people that actually called the judge, and I asked her if she signed this search warrant for this case number, and of course she told me she did not. She had her secretary, she was in the background talking to her, or sitting right next to her secretary, and then she called me back. She was like, "Well, let me call you back," and she calls me back and she goes, "Well, I don't know what's going on. Judge Gibson didn't sign this, and this is not even a case number that has anything to do with her because it's a traffic ticket." So when they don't have a search warrant or anything, and they come in your house like freaking terrorists, and they do, all the bad stuff to you, and then if they don't find like any evidence of a crime or anything, they have to get you down there for something, which is kind of what they did to us. Is like literally they tortured us, like me and my kids, and they literally tortured us for like 6 hours. So because they didn't have a search warrant, what they did is they wrote a citation because they needed something to book him under. And because they claimed they did this whole investigation. So I'm going to get into all that stuff too about this whole, it was a no-knock warrant because there's an investigation. All that is BS. Do not listen to nothing that the news is telling y'all, because they are a bold-faced lie. I personally don't have anything to do with the case that everybody's been, out here marching about and fighting about. But I know for a fact, because I've seen her case, because I've downloaded the materials from the Jefferson Courthouse, like everybody else was doing. And clearly, if you look at the search warrant, it says it wasn't even filed until a whole month after she had already passed away, for that home either. And I personally do not believe there was an investigation. I believe that they made it all up after the fact, because they went in there like they do, and things just went left. And that's the way I see it because of my situation, because my stuff happened in 2017. And when I spoke at the Louisville Metro Council meeting, I told them, like, if y'all don't get a hold of these people, then they're going to kill somebody. And that's what ended up happening. They ended up killing somebody, lost their life. But it says, I'm sending you a copy of a letter that I'm attaching to a motion. I am entering to ask the court to produce a true copy of the original search warrant with supporting affidavit with the court file date and return affidavit receipts, the application for a sealed warrant request with motions for extensions with file dates or what is defined in LR 5.7 filing documents under seal, Kentucky Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, United States District Court for the Eastern and Western District of Kentucky, or I'm asking them to revisit the case number 17 CR 1300, which was formerly 17F 5067, and rule it as an improper criminal complaint or charging document. And then I say I have irrefutable evidence that detectives, the people in my case, are acting outside of the scope of the law by possibly photocopying or falsifying search warrants enabled to illegally perform search and seizures to wrongfully convict citizens of drug crimes. It is vital that the integrity of these officers is tested to ensure the safety, security, and trust of the relationship between ordinary citizens and the officers who have sworn to serve and protect them. Please read the attached document. So in this, I attached all of these fake documents. In my situation, like, they went as far as even doing like things like fake autopsy reports, because after I realized what was going on, everything that was put into the discovery, I would take it, because like I was like, I'm not gonna say was, because I have really bad like PTSD and stuff like that, but child. Anyway, I keep losing train of thought. But a lot happened, but I'm freaking stumbling in my words, y'all. Okay, so here goes the first motion that I put in. So the lady that works at the courthouse, she actually works for LMPD. She actually helps them photocopy these documents. She helps them do it. And how do I know this? Is because she is ahead of like 460 something people like are underneath her. And when I went into her office where LMPD actually sent me to get the search warrant, because I was actually inquiring about a insurance claims that I had, and I wanted to pay for some property and stuff like that they had destroyed, and I needed all these documents. But by this time I had already gotten the different copies of the search warrants. I had already talked to the judge, but I knew that I needed everything in writing. I knew that I couldn't just go out here and be like, oh, they're making fake search warrants and da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, I knew it was illegal because when they were at my house, they told me that they were going to bring me a search warrant back later on that day. That was what the detective told me. She was like, oh, well, we'll bring you one back later. Like, when I tell you they're like so entitled, some entitled bullies, like literally they're homegrown terrorists. Like, I'm not even lying. But I was so traumatized, it kind of just went over my head because I had asked them throughout the day or whatever about it. And then they kind of just kept pushing me off. Oh, we'll bring it back to you later. Like, And then when she wasn't showing up, my dumb self, not even thinking, I'm not going to say dumb. I was just, like I said, I was really, really traumatized. Like, I went into psychotherapy and all kind of stuff. But basically, I had called her and I'm like, I need this paperwork, and you know, why are you taking so long getting me this paperwork or whatever? I didn't even care. I was just mad and I wanted it to be over with. I just wanted it to be over with. So I was just telling her, just give me the paperwork so I could file this and I could move and I could just move on with my life. But when she kept giving me the runaround, that's what kind of threw another red flag. And I went to the courthouse and I went down there and I asked them about it. So this came later. Hold on. These are the motions that I filed to basically ask the judge, because they kept telling me that the warrants were sealed, but they didn't know that I had gotten a hold of my husband's. Well, they knew because they called me and asked me to come to the courthouse and pick up his his property because they were moving him to a different location. So when I looked in there and I saw these fake documents, I'm saying that I knew they were fake because like I said, I had already talked to the, well, no, at that time I hadn't. When I got him and I saw him, I called the detective back and I was like, why did you tell me that I couldn't have a copy of the search warrant because you said that it was sealed? You said I couldn't have a copy of it because it was sealed. Then she also told me, oh, well, the prosecutor said we can't give you one. We can't give you a search warrant. Mind you, this is my home. I knew when they came, like I said, that I knew something was wrong because when they came in my house, they didn't even know our name. So the police officers were beating up on me because they thought that I was lying about my husband's name. They thought that, like, if you can see here, this is the person they came looking for. That's not his name. His name was changed 5 years earlier, legally in that courthouse. So, this right here is from the Kentucky State Police, and they are the custodians of records who actually implemented the e-warrant system. So they haven't been utilizing paper search warrants where they just fill them out at their desk and then walk them to the freaking courthouse or whatever they're trying to make it look like, because the last paper search warrant was put into the system in 2007. So when you look at like the Breonna Taylor case, for example, and they said that there was a judge that signed like 13 warrants in like 11 minutes or something. That's not correct, but it was like those numbers. So you're not even, like, people aren't even questioning, well, how could she sign that many search warrants? You know, knowing that if it was an investigation, it's going to be a pile of freaking papers. Well, they do it because they can easily, like, pull it up on their phone and be like, accept, because they're trusting these detectives. So this right here is from the Kentucky State Police. And they're telling me, they're saying, by your letter that's dated December of 2019, you requested a copy of an arrest report for Wilbur Bethel and at this address, pursuant to the provisions of Kentucky Open Records Act. Please be advised that a search of Kentucky State Police records, mind you, they're the custodian of records. Everything that's filed in the courthouse downtown backs up to them. So they know everything. And it says that I suggest you contact the Louisville Metro Police Department or any local agencies where the incident took place to determine if they have any records responsible to your request. And then it says, basically they're telling you that the open records decisions that, you know, people aren't allowed to deny you any kind of open record. You know, that's what they wrote down here. They're just telling you, hey, if they're telling you this, then they're wrong because it's against the law for them to deny you any type of record. So by that time, I had already went to the LMPD records department, both of them, and basically told them the same thing. Hey, I'm here. I'm filing a insurance claim and I need the search warrant for my home because someone went to jail from my house. So they go, well, contact Pam or whatever because she does our investigations. She knows everything. And if she doesn't have a copy of the search warrant, then it doesn't exist. Now, mind you, I've got it from the word of the mouth from the actual judge herself. And then when I saw the search warrants in the discovery and I looked at them, that's when I really knew that they were fake. And that's when I kind of started going in. I mean, like I said, the judge's office had already told me that she never signed a search warrant for anybody in my house or anything underneath that case number. So this is their own investigator. And she's saying that I searched 6725 Strawberry Lane and I wasn't able to locate any incident reports responsive to your request. Please note that this case number, which is my husband's original case number, is not a number of any form utilized by LMPD. Mind you, this is his case number. They're saying we don't even use that case number. This is their own detective. So then I emailed her back and I said, well, are you sure that you looked at the right address and blah, blah, blah. And then this is her again. She says, well, this was the first one and that was the second one. And this was the first one. She says, please be advised that based on the information provided, LMPD conducted a search and was unable to locate any records responsive to your request. This is LMPD, their investigator, telling me that they don't have a search warrant for my home. Okay. So literally, So this is just the side-by-sides of just two of the warrants, and you can see where, I basically was comparing them and showing you, you can see it right here. These are two different, this is supposed to be the same document. This is supposed to be the same document. You can see where it's different. Okay, here goes some signatures. You can see those are different. Look at the G's. Those are both different. Okay. But like I said, I have 4. So this is just a letter that I had actually wrote to the Attorney General and the Assistant Attorney General and the Louisville FBI. And I just sent this one in about a month ago. And I basically told her about the situation and explained to them how disgusted I was that they still wasn't, that they had this information. They knew, they've been on this since 2017 because I had been contacting them since 2017, and I've been sending them all these documents, like droves of documents that are all fraudulent. I know for a fact because I take the documents to the courthouse and I actually ask them, hey, is this real? And they say yay or nay. And most of the time they're saying, no, we don't even have that. That doesn't even exist. We don't even know how you got it. How are you getting sealed documents? I have documents that are supposed to be sealed. I have them in my possession right now, and I'm going to show them to you. So, let me see. This is, like I said, this is a copy of the letter that I just sent them. I've sent out hundreds of those. So, here goes the whole no-knock thing. So, a no-knock search warrant and a sealed search warrant are 2 separate search warrants. They're not the same. You either got a no-knock search warrant or you're going to ask the judge to give you a sealed search warrant because you want to protect, like, maybe information from one of your informants or something like that. So on your last line of your affidavit is going to be the detective asking the judge for the particular type of search warrant that they want. So if you read here, it says, due to the lengthy and violent criminal history associated with Jihad Haq. Mind you, his name is Jihad Haq on this paper, but they came looking for Wilbert Bethel. They didn't know his name. And then it says, detailed in the above affidavit, your affiant requests the permission of the court for a no-knock warrant to ensure officer safety. So they do that bullshit no-knock warrant so they can come into your home like a freaking terrorist. And like I said, when they went into her house, stuff just went left. I don't believe there was ever an investigation. Mind you, if you look at the new stuff that came out, you'll see that Mr. Parker, whatever his name is, he was in the paper, and it said something about it was dated for like May. Okay, this girl was killed 3 months ago. Why are you just now investigating him if you claim he was the reason or part of the reason why, you went into her house? But I don't want to keep talking about her, God rest her soul, but I'm just using her as an example because everybody was going off about this no-knock warrant stuff, not even understanding that it's not a no-knock situation. They don't have warrants. They tell you that they have a no-knock warrant, but they don't have warrants. They either tell you that it's a no-knock, but then when you ask for it, they're going to say, oh, we can't give it to you because it's sealed. So if you see right here, it says that the defendant admits to executing a no-knock search warrant. But if you see on this motion that I put in, I'm asking them to please unseal it. This is a whole year later now. A whole year later, they're still denying me a copy of a search warrant for my home. For my home. I even have video footage of me in court with them, me going back and forth. And they basically didn't go back to the federal court and relay this information. They just kind of, everything that who is calling me? Okay, so this is my husband. He's in, okay, here we go, right here. So mind you, I just showed you all the warrants. So look at this. So this right here is saying that I gave them permission to search all of my electronic devices found at my residence. This is a consent to search. Why do you need a consent to search if you claim you had a search warrant? And then if you look down here, they try to forge our names, me and my husband's name, because if you look at, I don't know, I put this on his page before, but you can tell the writing is the same all the way down. Like, why are y'all putting all this stuff in discovery when you forgot that you said you had a search warrant for this stuff and it's included in you all's search warrant? So why would you need my permission to search? Why would you need my consent if you had a search warrant? So they forged our names. He's in jail because they said it's like 3 years had went by, with the whole case and things like that. It had never been brought up in court because his attorney basically just didn't want anything to do with it because it's a whole messy situation. Because like I said, back in the day when the whole Watson versus Richardson thing went down, 450 something people's lives were affected by that case. And that was only by 2 officers. There were probably 30, 40 officers in my house. And they would have to go back and look at the history on every case that those people had basically worked on. I mean, there were freaking dogs in my house searching. They did the most. And, they did the most. So this right here is some questions that they were asked. And he's in jail because basically, you have these mandatory minimums and you have your plea deals. And, in situations like this, you got to take that plea deal because if they take you to court and you have a history like his, 20 years ago or whatnot, they're going to bring, people in and that's going to basically have your life in their hand and it's probably going to give you life because, a little Caucasian girl was actually, harmed and they were accusing him of her death. So they ended up dropping everything that had to do with her case. And I could go over that and just show you how messy that was and everything that they did to cover up and try to basically connect him to that. All the way down to where they put the big thing of dope in our discovery to try to make it look like they took some drugs from my house and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that because, like I said, that whole case dropped. So basically they said, well, just say that you were a lower level drug dealer and we'll get you out in a couple of years. And the attorneys, they just say, well, they just need their conviction. This is what the attorneys tell you. Well, they just need their conviction. You're just going to get a little bit of time. So they're basically saying, you ain't shit. We don't care about you. Our people are more important. Their jobs and lives are more important than yours. So you just take this time and just suck it up. So this is them. Mind you, they said they found a phone in one of his work trucks. First of all, none of his work trucks were ever even at our home. They wasn't there when they came and searched my house because the people that worked for him actually used the trucks to come back and forth in the mornings, which is what I believe gave them the motive to want to come and see, like, who is this black guy that's kind of bossing these white dudes around every morning, kind of following him then. But they never even learned his name. In all of his businesses, his trucks and all of my vehicles and stuff like that, all of our stuff was registered to my house. So the least you would have known was our names. But they didn't, because before they came in my home, they actually called my landlord and asked her who lived at my house at 7 o'clock in the morning. They asked her who lived there. And then after they left that afternoon, they called her and made her send them a copy of my lease so they could get all of our information so they could start building their case. Because that's what they do. They build the case after they've already came in and searched your home illegally. So this is them saying, well, he believes that iPhone 7 and a rose gold iPhone 6 that was seized belonged to Nashayla Jones due to her signing consent to search those 2 phones and providing him with passcodes to each of them, which is a lie. And it says, see attached exhibit B, and it says, Defendant Chardine, that's the attached exhibit B is this. This is what he put in there. And then he goes, he doesn't even know who owned any of the other phones, and it's not certain that Nashayla Jones even owned the 2 iPhones previously mentioned. But mind you, he's in jail because he said that he found a phone that had drug deals in it, and basically they added up. They made these fake text messages on an Excel worksheet. It's so, like, you can clearly just look at it and see how they made it. And they're calling them downloads from this phone. So they made these fake little text messages and said, well, if he was to make these sales, then it would have been this amount of money. it would have been this, such amount of money. So that's how they come up with the numbers, with how, when they charged him. That's how they come up with the numbers, by saying, oh, all these text messages, it was saying $20 was in this text message, $100 was in here, and so on. So it would be like this amount. It had to be this amount of dope and this amount of money if he actually went and got it. So his charge is conspiring to buy drugs so he could sell the drugs, which is so stupid, but whatever. So this right here, if you notice, what does that say, guys? Under seal. See where it says under seal? Can somebody tell me how I have a sealed search warrant? How do I have something that was done under seal? So this right here is them claiming.
I'm reminding you, drink a glass of water.
Sorry, Alexa's trying to tell me to drink some water. But this is basically a thing that they put in his Okay, Alexa.
I'm reminding you, drink a glass of water.
So this is a thing where they're actually requesting that they get, the phone dumps for these phones. They're like, oh, we need you to send us this and we need you to keep it under seal. And they're saying, look, even these two are different. Even these two are different. You can see the signatures of these, because like I say, every time they recreate they put something else in Discovery, they have to recreate these documents. So I don't know if you can see. Let me see if y'all can see the signatures right there. So these are even different, and if you look at the heading up here, you can see that it's dated for like 8 months after my husband was already in jail. But it's like they were so desperate to find a reason to keep him in jail because they had lied about the amount of money that they took out of my house. So they knew that if he got out, they were going to have to produce that amount of money because they couldn't find anything illegal at my home. They had to find some reason to keep him in jail. They literally held him hostage for 12 days. So that what they wanted the public to believe is that when he went in under a circuit court case number, but he didn't. He went in under a district court case number, which was just a mere traffic ticket, because that is the only thing that they had to basically say, we got to get him in the system. So we'll just use this document and we'll take this document and we'll put it in the archives building, which is what they did. They hid it in the archives building. But hold on. This is the original case jacket for that. Okay, here it is. So this is the actual original case. So this is the original case jacket right here, and it was hidden. You see where it says citation? That's the citation. You can look it up. It's a traffic ticket. It has nothing to do with a search warrant. So that's the original case jacket. And if you look right here, my home was searched in 2017, but you notice they put 2015. They put 4/27/2015, so in case somebody went looking for it, they wouldn't be able to find it. And this is the original. They basically had to do this to get him in the system until they figured out a way to basically keep him there. So, and this is right here. They're saying the reason why that we arrested him was because he admitted to selling these drugs to these two females or whatever the case. And he said, this right here, this so-called statement, which were coerced statements, oh Lord, is the reason why he's in prison today. So, even though everything was dropped, so when they knew that those statements were dropped, they knew they didn't have a case. So that's when they came up with the whole phone thing. So they made these fake sealed search warrants. And I took these down to the federal courthouse and I gave them to the court clerks there. And I asked them if they could look it up. And of course they looked it up and they went through all of his his docket sheets, and they said, we don't know where this stuff came from. Like, where are you getting all this stuff from? What is going on? And I was like, I just had to, get you all's opinion. So this is the thing that they said that they were sealing. And they even were saying that they don't want T-Mobile or anybody basically unsealing these search warrants until it says, let me see. T-Mobile are sealed until otherwise ordered by this court, and that T-Mobile shall not disclose the existence of the investigation, the application, or this order to list. It's saying that nobody is supposed to have this search warrant, but they accidentally put it in the damn discovery, and that's the seal warrant. I have 2 of these, and mind you, remember they said that it was sealed, and they were, using these phones as a means to keep him in prison. But look what it says right here. They forgot that they put all this in the discovery. So T-Mobile responded, and they said they were unable to respond to those numbers because the numbers, they're not registered to anybody, and they can't look up any information on because they had been cut off for so long. And these weren't actually even inquired about until he was in jail already for 8 to 10 months. So they knew. So here's the proof right here. This is it says released from custody. Okay, so he wasn't actually released. What they did is when they booked him under that traffic ticket, they held him until this date, and then they got a corrupt prosecutor, to basically indict it to the circuit court. So he went from this, it says released from custody, but he was actually just moved from one court to another court. And here goes the proof that there was the original case number. And you heard the email that, I read from their detective saying that this is not even one of our case numbers or whatever. So this whole entire case was hidden because what they wanted people to believe is that he went to jail under the circuit court case number, which he did not. He went to jail under this number, and this is the actual proof because there goes the date that he was indicted and moved to the circuit court, and that he still had his old name. But mind you, all his old name is on all of his original documents, but he has his real name on the search warrant to make it make sense. So this right here shows that there are no identifiable victims in the offense. So he's in jail for conspiracy, and they didn't even have co-conspirators, any victims. They didn't have any drugs. They just said that these text messages are proving that he's he's a drug dealer, blah, 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 blah. So I'm probably gonna have to do this video over, y'all, because I'm like stumbling all over the place. So let me see. This right here is another case, a friend of mine's case, like my little brother. And this, if you read right here, what does it say? There's no active cases. So this man basically went to court and got cases dismissed that didn't even exist, because when he went looking for his stuff, they can't even find a case on him down there. And then I'm going to show you these. This is so crazy. So these are all the same orders that I was showing you. You can see the photocopies. You can see that they're photocopies. Okay. These are all different. All of these are different. He actually has like 4 of them, because like I said, every time they put some new information in the city, they have to recreate these documents. So all of these, his situation is crazy. So all of these are all different. If you look at the I can't even, okay. You can see the G's on both of these. So he actually has 4. I had 4 too. But this is just showing you where every time they have to recreate the same document, that it changes every time, because they have to just take an old search warrant and they lay it over top of a new one like this. And then they run it through the printer. And they photocopy the judge's signature on there. And if you're wondering why the judge hasn't said anything, it's because judges have immunity for situations like this. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to say anything. And they just kind of sit there and, I guess, like, let these little police just, do what they want to do with their name. If I was a judge, I would be offended knowing that a little police officer was forging my name on the documents and stuff. I would be offended. Like, as hard as you work to get in that position and you just let it ride? Okay. So, all of these are supposed to be the same document, but of course they're all different. And this one, if you look on this, the officer in this case, he forgot to even put his name. Like it says, the affidavit having this day being made before me, he's supposed to have his name like signed right there, you know, what everything that he's doing. He didn't even put his name on there. They're that messy. Like, they don't even care. They get away with this stuff. They get away with it. But yeah, I'm gonna log off, y'all, because I got everything just like all out of whack. And I thought I had this stuff in order to show you guys how they do it. But basically, that's what they do. They write these citations because they don't have an investigation. They don't have any investigative materials. They don't have any search warrants or anything like that. So they got to get you in the system. So they need that number off that citation. Then they'll take that citation down to the archives building. Then they hide it in the archive building. And like I told you, they dated his for 2 years earlier. So to make sure that somebody couldn't find it. Okay, this is what I really want to show y'all. Okay. So when you go down to the courthouse and you asking them, this is what they see. When they're pulling their screen up and you're asking them to put information into the system or whatever, you give them your name, you say, okay, I'm inquiring about this case or whatever, and I want to know this bit of information, or I need these records for this, that, and the third, and they're going to tell you, here, I can give them to you here, or they'll tell you where you can go find it, which is like, if it's been over 2 or 3 years, you'll probably have to walk down to the archives building and get them. So I had the lady, I asked her to screenshot me what she was looking at. So she screenshot it and she printed out, because after weeks of going down there every day, and they're like, we just don't understand why we can't find anything on this man or whatnot, right? So if you look at it, when they're saying, oh, we don't know we don't know if there was a warrant or not. What does that say right there? That's his name. You see where it says warrants? 0. Summons 0. Bail from 1990 something. You know, this is everything that you've been through since you've been in that courthouse. Anything that you've possibly been arrested for or got pulled over for is going to be under your name in that system. So when they say they don't know if there was a search warrant, this and that, they're lying. Because here it goes right here, big as day, telling you that there were 0 warrants for him. 0. And then there goes the original charge. So we basically found the case that they hid in, like, it was like a little folder that she had to basically drop this box down to realize, like, why she couldn't find it. She was like, oh, well, no wonder why we couldn't find this case, because it has been moved to the archives building. She was like, well, I don't know why they would move it to the archives building, because we haven't, this case just got here. It shouldn't be moved for the next 2 or 3 years. So, like I said, so then they got so frustrated with, you know, me keep on coming down there and being just fresh. So this is what you asked for. This is your case history right here. So this is your docket sheet. So when you go to jail, court, or anything, or get booked for anything, everything that happens to you is placed, you know, they got a timeline of events that happen. So this tells you that, you know, the case was filed on April 27th of 2017. Is a felony, blah, blah, blah. And then it says the original charge, dismissed without prejudice, da, da, da. And it says direct indicted. And here goes the circuit court case number that it was indicted to. Heroin. Look how it was put in the system. A citation number. And a citation date. That's obsolete. Like, a citation is never ever necessary in lieu of a search warrant. What do you need to write a citation for? That don't even make sense. So I actually went on to AVO and a couple of other sites where, you know, you could talk to lawyers and stuff like that. And I just wanted to get their opinion. And if you go to my husband's page, you can actually look it up and you'll see where the lawyers were telling me, like, why the hell would anybody write a search warrant in lieu of write a citation in lieu of a search warrant? That's stupid. Why would you need a citation if you have a search warrant? So if you look on his page, I actually screenshot their answers, all of these professionals who can be verified. And they were all basically saying the same thing. But of course, the lawyers in Kentucky, they're going to tell you different. Oh, they do that sometimes. What do you need a citation for if you have a search warrant? You know? And like the person said. So they got so frustrated. This is what they did. They wrote it down for me. I said, I need this in writing. I need this in writing. So if you look here, it says case number 17F5067. It says corresponds to citation number. That's the citation number. There are no e-warrants that correspond directly to this case. Charge 1 was indicted. They're telling the history on how we even ended up here. Indicted by the grand jury on 5/8, and that was that one document I showed you where it said that he was released out of custody. No, it wasn't. He was just moved to a different courthouse. That's it. He wasn't released. And it says the reference number for that case is 17 CR, which means stands for Circuit Court, 1300. And says this case corresponds also to the citation number 7N. And here goes the citation number. There is no e-warrants that correspond to this case. So basically they wrote it, signed it, dated, and said all 3 of these cases correspond to a citation, not a search warrant. There's no search warrants for this case. None of these cases. So, you know, all the old playing, we don't know what's going on stuff, you know, it's really disgusting how they're just, you know, okay, so there goes that. And if you look on my page, or I think I had put some on Jihad's page, and you can actually look where the text messages from that day that I was speaking to my landlord, and I said, well, what day did you say that they called you and asked you who lived here and things like that? And she says that same day. It was right before they came in there. So I was basically asking her these questions so I could get it in the text message form, so I could, you know, come back and reference those, because I already knew that those people didn't have no reason to be in my house. They racially profiled us. That's it, and that's all. And when they came in there and realized that we were actually running 2 businesses, that's when they start panicking. Because even like at one point, I heard one of the detectives whisper to another detective and go, I feel so bad. I didn't know they were going to be nice people. They were going to be such nice people. I don't know where you got nice at, because I was frantic. I literally think I died for a second, because the detective was basically trying to make me feel like they had killed my daughter. So they were holding her hostage at gunpoint in the house for the longest time. And that is basically how they got the reaction that they got out of him. So, basically what they were looking for, I believe they were looking to get a reaction out of him, because they were going to kill him, because they were going to, you know, they wanted to look like the heroes, because number one, they knew they didn't have no business being in my house anyway. So, you know, when they didn't know my name and I were like begging them, I was like, just let me walk over here to my dresser. Yeah, I'm gonna start crying talking about this stuff. I was like, just let me walk over to my dresser and give you his ID, and you'll see for yourself on his ID what his name is. So when I did it, it's like everybody's face dropped, and they were like, she's not lying or whatnot. And then like, it was just bad, y'all. Like, what the stuff that they did to me and my kids, like, it was terrible. Like, it's something straight out of a movie. And I think, like, when I went to start actually talking to attorneys about it, I think it was just like I was so dramatic, because I was so overwhelmed, because mind you, I had already been in psychotherapy and all that stuff, you know. By then I was balled up in my house, in the corner of my house, for like about a week, with no windows and doors. Like, my windows and doors were broke. Like, they wasn't even boarded up at that time. Like, my neighbors were literally coming over to feed me and my kids. Like, it was just bad. Like, it was bad. And then when I finally did go into psychotherapy, I was so messed up. Like, I was scared to be around the group that I had to be around in my psychotherapy classes for like weeks. So I had to take myself out of that, because I was just so, like, I was terrified. But yeah, this is This is all that stuff you hearing about the they got some type of relief because the Breonna's law passed and then there's no more no-knock search warrants. Well, no-knock search warrants were never the case anyway. They just told y'all that they were no-knock. But of course, I'm sitting here showing you where they told me that mine was a no-knock too in the affidavit, but then they told me I couldn't have a copy of it because it was sealed. So I had to go to court and tell the judge, well, this case closed a whole year and a half ago or whatnot, and they're saying that they can't give it to me because it's sealed. So can you unseal it? Even though by then I had collected three copies and they were all different. So I was asking the court to provide me with a true copy. I want to see when it was filed. I want to see the clerk that signed it. I want to see everything. So she goes, okay, well, she sends me a letter and she says, well, if there is a search warrant, then I'm unsealing it. So they didn't unseal it. So I had to motion her again. And she goes, I went back into the court with my attorney and basically argued that, okay, you told me that it was unsealed, but when I went back, the court clerk told me that she didn't care what you said. She's not giving me nothing. And she said it in those exact words. I'm not giving you nothing. I don't care what the judge says. So, she goes, well, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if this is my jurisdiction and this and that and the other. The court doesn't have a copy of a search warrant. So she goes, well, I'm going to ask the prosecutor to give me a copy of the search warrant, bring a copy back to my chambers. So you basically just allowed him to make a fake one because you sat here and just said that the court doesn't have a copy, which we already knew this. So you told the prosecutor to bring you one back to give to me. So make that make sense. So these are the people that we're not researching and people are voting them into offices and things like that or whatever. But it's just it's really, y'all, it's really disgusting the things that they do and how they go above and beyond to put our people, behind bars. So this is the reason why we have mass incarceration. This is the reason why the judge really doesn't even have a say-so. The judge has to listen to what the prosecutor says, and go with that, with the mandatory minimums and things like that. So it's like, it's a lose-lose situation either way it goes, which is why he had to take that plea, because being the person that he is and where he's from, if he had took that to trial, they would have probably gave him life. But, this is the stuff that people have been asking me to get on here and basically explain. So, all of these documents, and this isn't even a pinch of stuff that I actually have, because I have a tote with thousands of documents and things in it, and with all the people that I have actually reached out to, and just different politicians and things like that, and different black radio stations or organizations, not even necessarily black, like anybody who has anything to do with wanting to combat, like corruption and stuff like that. But of course I haven't gotten a response because people think this is all about my dog. They don't understand that my son, who was on the autism spectrum, was shot at. They don't understand that my 16-year-old child was held hostage, and they don't understand that I had to stand naked, basically beat up with guns and stuff because, people didn't know my name and they thought I was lying about me and my husband's names and things like that. And even at a point in the search where I had to sit on a toilet and there were 4 grown men just sitting there staring at me like I was a circus act, like I was nothing, like literally nothing. But y'all gotta stop trusting these attorneys with y'all lies and things like that. And y'all gonna have to start speaking up. Like anything that you have a question, like y'all gonna have to start asking some questions. And if you're not getting the answers that you're looking for, then take the things that they're giving you and go look, go ask the clerk's offices, go ask the people who have something to do with those documents or something like that before you just take their word for it, because they be in here, they trade cases and stuff all day long. Like, here, you give me this person, I'll give you this person, we'll let this person go. You know, they make deals with the prosecutor. That's their job. You know, they're supposed to work for you, but at the end of the day, they don't feel like that your life is as valuable as their colleagues. You know, so I know that I have confused the heck out of y'all, but I'm sorry. I just get a little nervous when I start talking about this stuff. But here are, you know, this is, like I said, I'll let you look at, you know, some of them again. You can see where there's nothing saying that it was filed at the courthouse. So you can actually look on the, you can actually look online in Jefferson District Court and download this for yourself. You can download these documents, scan them into your computer, and type what you want to type on them and pass them off as a search warrant. Of course, you see, you know, there's nothing on it. But what he typed, and look, he even just said, well, I don't care. They're not going to ask me no question because I'm a police. I'm a police officer. Who are they to question me? You know, he didn't even write his name on there. He's like, whatever. You know, we going to put this off, and we know you going to go do time for it because you're nothing but black trash. That's what they look at us like. You know. So, I'm going to get off of here, and I'll let you all look at the thing again. This is what they see when you walk up to the court clerk, you ask them to put your name in the system. This is what pops up, and this is what tells you anything that you might have had. Right here, you see where it says warrants, 0, none in the system. That's why they can't give you one. And like I said, the custodian of records, the people who actually implemented the e-warrant system, you saw the letter from them where they were telling me, hey, if they're denying you these records, then they're lying to you. And here's the proof. If they're denying you records, there you go. They're telling you that's against the law for them to deny you a record, to tell you, oh, we can't give you something and stuff like that. It's against the law. We have an Open Records Act. You know, like, there's just, it's like these people have gotten away with this stuff for way too long. And it's about time that they get stopped. And I guess maybe I'll get on here and actually read you one of the letters that I wrote, because honey, my butt is all over the place trying to explain these documents to y'all. So y'all have a safe derby. Why are my cheeks so red? Y'all have a safe derby, and I'm gonna get off here.